there. Good Wednesday evening. It is January the 24th, and I'm Chris Allen, and this is weather for the 270 area code and beyond, as also presented by News 40 WNKY. As we have been, just watching things unfold, and as I was saying this morning on News 40, 6 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 p.m., if you happen to watch on WNKY, NBC, CBS, that things continue to change with the unfolding of this particular system. And it's almost like every few hours, granted, the models continue to update every so often. It depends on what model it is. Sometimes it's twice a day, sometimes it's 4 times a day. Again, it depends on what model it is. But as you have seen already on social media, there is a cornucopia, a plethora, if you will, of all kinds of just wild and crazy snowfall totals, ice totals now. This is going to go this way and this is going to go that way. Well, I'm going to try to parse all this out for you because, it really is all over the place. And really, when you get down to it, the main thing that has changed so far, really, is just there has been a little shift in some of the moisture here in Kentucky, introducing maybe a brief period where we could see that overrunning moisture over the cold, deep, cold air underneath it. And when that happens, we may get just enough of a little warm piece of air, warm enough to maybe cause a brief changeover. And I think it's going to happen on Sunday, but I will show you specifically. But it does look like now that yes, we are going to get a lot of snow, but maybe not as much as what you've been seeing on the networks. There is some model divergence on just how much snow we could get. And some of it could be, a little period of it could be a little mixy. But I don't think it's going to cause an ice storm here. When people hear about freezing rain and sleet and things like that, they think, oh, it's going to be an ice storm. No, it's not going to be that. But with a little bit better guidance now than what we had even just yesterday, we're starting to see things come better into focus on how this thing is going to track and how it's going to go. So just follow along as best you can. We're going to keep you updated here, and I'm just going to give you the best, absolute best, honest answer that I can based on the information that I have right now. So let's get to it. There's a lot to cover. So, first thing, I'll have to say today was just one of those unusual days in which the day started with what was really just supposed to be rain. Now, before I ended last night's podcast, which ended just before 8 o'clock Central Time, the Weather Service said, we think there's going to be a few counties up near the Ohio River that could, with the rain coming in, maybe see a little bit of a frozen mix, maybe a little freezing rain or sleet, then it's all going to go to rain. Well, that happened, but there was a lot more than what was anticipated, and the counties that were under a winter weather advisory for this morning, got extended further south. There were hundreds of accidents, sliding off, people going up 65 once you got up to Hart County, Munfordville area, and then north as you headed toward E-Town. And then as you headed out to Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways and 165, and I mean, there were accidents all over the place. I spent the whole morning this morning on News 40, especially sunrise at 6. I spent that whole hour, 6 to 7, and even after it, following accidents and trying to get updates. And then there were school closings. And I mean, it was just, I told somebody, I said, I felt like I've been to the gym and worked out for about an hour. It's the way it felt after it was all over. You're seeing right now pretty much the leftovers from all of that we had this morning. And finally, I mean, it did all finally change over to rain. And now it's all east of us and continuing to push east. And that's all associated with this cold front that's still just back to the west. But, and this is key, I've had several people ask me today, is this the beginning of the big snowstorm? No, this is not the winter storm that's coming in for this weekend. This was just supposed to be a little front with a little moisture and a little bit of rain, but it turned out to be much more than that. We thought maybe near the surface, the dew points were in the teens. And we had temperatures in the upper 30s and low 40s, even this morning with a south wind. And of course, the natural thinking is it's too dry for it to do what they're saying it's going to do. But then there is that where we get enough moisture coming down, cooling the air and allowing the moisture to saturate a little bit more. And then as it comes down, yes, it's rain, but then the surface temperatures, see, that's another thing I didn't quite think about, and some others didn't either. Surface temperatures north of us were cold enough so when that rain fell and it hit surfaces, roads, cars, trees, power lines, everything was below freezing. Well, then everything just froze on contact and it caused a big sheet of ice. That's what happened this morning. And I'll just tell you, that one's on me. That one's on me. That I did not really see coming. I thought it would be a little bit of mixy and then it would go to rain pretty quickly, but it did not. So I don't know why that all happened. Okay, I'm hearing that I'm getting a crackling mic. Let me fix that. Let me see if I can fix it real quick. The mic is popping. Oh my goodness. It's a problem that shows up every once in a while, and I'm sorry about that. So we'll try to get okay. So this might fix it. I'm not sure if it will, but we'll give it a try. Okay. If it continues to crackle, we'll just have to keep going because this is live. All right. So I apologize right off the bat. All right. Let's take a look. I want to look at some of the HazCams and show you what's going on. Like, look at the fog. This is Litchfield. Litchfield is froggy. And the reason why is because you had, there in Grayson County this morning, you had some of that mixed precipitation. So you've got a cold ground and there's a warmer layer of air that's coming in over the top of that. Your temperature is at 38, but it's causing fog. Let's go over to Western Kentucky, Gage, Kentucky, which is far Western Kentucky, and the skies are clear. Everything started to clear out in Western Kentucky. You saw the moon there for just a second before the picture updated. How about Louisville? This is where there were hundreds of accidents. And you can see there's still low clouds, kind of looks like maybe a little layer of fog downtown. temperature at 38, winds southwest at 20 miles per hour. And then we go over to Moorhead, Kentucky, and, well, they're still getting rain. Oh, look, the rain's coming down. Now, it is rain. It is rain. Temperatures are in the upper 30s. They're in Moorhead, Kentucky. But that's rain that's coming down. And then we go all the way over to Pikeville, far eastern side of the state, and they're getting rain. You can see the clouds. There's downtown Pikeville. And yeah, they're still getting some rain. So it depends on where you are as to what you're getting. But west of Bowling Green, the cold front's coming through, and skies are beginning to clear from west to east. So I think as we go through the evening, skies will continue to clear. And we should be a lot better tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a day in which we're going to get sunshine. Yay! Sunshine. And we're going to warm it up just a little bit more. Now, I do want to show you how things are going to progress. Let me turn off the radar and let's talk about the outlooks. Okay, now what you're seeing right here, this is the Weather Prediction Center winter weather outlook map, okay? And this is to break down in different colors what they think are going to be the most targeted areas for the worst weather. So up at the top, and it may be hard to see, but up at the top, you're looking at the grays here, like around St. Louis, means winter weather area. Okay, that doesn't really tell you much, but all it is that there may be some kind of winter weather in your area if you're in some of those gray shaded areas. When you get into the yellow, which would include north of Bowling Green, that means a minor impact. There's going to be enough wintry weather, and it doesn't matter if it's snow or ice or whatever. There's going to be enough wintry weather to cause a minor impact on roads, surfaces, whatever. Now, when we start to get into this kind of butterscotch orange shade here, that is a moderate impact. That includes Bowling Green all the way over to about Williamsburg, southeastern Kentucky, down to Gallatin, Nashville, Clarksville, back into western Kentucky, Boot Hill of Missouri, West Tennessee, and much of Arkansas. Okay? Let me take the cold front off of there. All right. Now you see just these little bitty places of red. This is day 3, so this is Friday. You see the red indicates major impact. So this is taking into consideration the very beginning of our winter storm, because as it starts to come in on Friday, it is going to approach from the west, from out of Oklahoma into Arkansas, and then move east. It's really not going to be over our area. It appears now in the latest modeling, and I'll show you the timing. The timing now looks for it to arrive in Bowling Green in southern Kentucky Friday night, even overnight Friday. So this will be just the beginning of the snow coming in, but you see down around Hot Springs, Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, the major impacts will start to take hold. And on an even broader scale, I mean, just check out how much of a large area. Look how much territory this storm is going to take. And this is just Friday. I can't show you a day 4 because it doesn't go up to day 4. But if I could show you day 4, then you would see this area pushed further east, and you would see probably more red, because then that's when we're going to get moderate to major impact on our weather here in southern Kentucky. So you say, okay, so what does this mean? It means it's coming. And now we're under the all new winter storm watch, and I'll turn that on for you. You see those, all these counties painted in blue here? That includes all, and I do mean all of the state of Kentucky. So, for those of you who like to ask the question, are we going to get anything? The answer is a resounding yes. If you live in the state of Kentucky, it doesn't matter what city, what county, you are going to get hit with this winter storm. Every single 120 counties, every single city, town, it doesn't matter. You're going to get hit. And it's going to start Friday night, go all day Saturday, into Saturday night, and it's not going to start to move out of here until Sunday. So, the winter storm watch, which was issued about late morning this morning, is in effect for that entire period, 4 days. 4 days. So here it is, the specifics. Winter storm watch in effect from early Saturday morning through Monday morning. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But counting 4 days, it's actually going to, it'll start rolling in Friday night. But they're going to have the winter storm watch be specifically in effect for Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now, what this means is you're going to have periods of moderate to heavy snow all weekend, with the possibility of a wintry mix of snow and sleet across southern Kentucky. Now, just specifically who gets the winter mix remains to be seen, but I will show you how it looks like it's going to play out right now. But I can tell you, just as that one component changed today, I'll bet you anything it's going to change again tomorrow. And with the modeling now coming into the short-term window, this is when sometimes, and I've seen it happen, where it says, oh, it's going to be all snow. Then there will be this little bitty area. It's like, oh, well, maybe this part's going to be a mix. So then everybody goes, oh, see, it's not going to snow that much. There's going to be some other stuff that falls. And then the very next day, it goes back to where it was before. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I've seen it happen. Regardless of that, I still believe, based on everything that I see, we are still going to get a significant snow. Is it going to be 2 feet of snow? Probably not. Is it going to be 1 foot of snow? Like I said last night, and I raised my foot up, and everybody thought that was hilarious. I never said it was going to be 1 foot. I just said the potential is there for 1 foot of snow. It may be a little less. It may be a little more. If you rewind the tape from last night, you'll hear I said just that. Could be a little less, or it could be a little more. But anytime we have this kind of a mixy stuff coming in, winter mix, freezing rain, sleet, into a snowmaker, then yes, it can cut down on the snow totals. But even at that, I don't think it's going to cut back that much. And I know you've seen 1,000 maps today, some already grandstanding. See, I told you it wasn't going to snow like that. And I know that, God bless them, the Weather Channel has just been, they have been pounded today, because they've been showing 12 to 18, 18 to 24. They've been showing some really way off the chart totals. I think they kind of backed off a little bit from that, but anyway, I'm not going to harp on that because everybody's got their own thing that they're looking at. And I'm just telling you, look how extensive this is. I mean, you've got all of Tennessee, all of Kentucky, pretty much all of Arkansas, all of Louisiana, and look at Texas. I mean, almost every part of Texas, almost all of Oklahoma is under a winter storm watch. And then there are winter storm warnings back there where the storm is going to start tomorrow. So this is that big. We're talking about 1,500 to 1,700 miles in length. And as I mentioned last night, that means about 150, 160 million people are going to be affected by this storm. And the thing is, it hasn't even really gotten even close to us yet. But that's how big and how strong and how deep this storm is. So we have really got to pay attention. Just because something a little bit changes direction or changes the way it looks doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Not by a long shot. This is still coming. All right, I'll move on. Let's go to the charts. And here's the current weather map. And as Scott was saying just tonight on News 40 at 5 and 6, he was showing the rain moving east and the cold front just behind it. So this front, again, is not associated with the big storm that's coming in. You want to see where the big storm is right now? There it is. It's way back here, just now moving out of the Baja of California. It's it's way back there. Okay, Pacific low pressure system coming off the Baja and headed east. And it has even yet to tap into the Gulf moisture that's going to head north and then run into, as I showed you last night, whoops, sorry about that, make you drunk looking at that. It's going to run into this monster high pressure. Look at that baby, way up there. It's up there at Prince Albert Sound, for those of you who know where that is. Then it's going to slide down through Canada, and then it's going to come into parts of the northern United States. And already this thing is beginning to build a huge, deep, massive cold air. Now, if this cold air wasn't here and we just had the Gulf moisture coming in, I would say we are in for a flood like last year, last February, last April. Remember that? We would be in for a whole weekend of nothing but flooding rain. But with that cold air, it's not going to be rain. So here's our little system moving away. Here's the low pressure system now moving east as we get into the midnight hour. And there's another offshore low here off of the California coast. Let's go into tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Now we've got a series of low pressure systems here along the Gulf, but this is not part of the big system. The low pressure systems back west of us moving east are the ones that are going to run in to this cold air. And as you can see, there's some snow that's going to be, say tomorrow, over parts of the Great Lakes. And this is the colder air starting to spill in during the day tomorrow. It's not going to be that cold here because this is the front that's coming through this evening. Maybe just slightly cooler tomorrow. We're still going with mid 40s, low to mid 40s. But this will be the last day that we have temperatures that warm for the next week. The next week. Yeah. All right. I'm setting you up here. Here's midday tomorrow. Here's the high pressure building in. Now, tomorrow is going to be a beautiful day. Lots of sunshine, maybe a few puffy clouds here and there. Temperatures, as I mentioned, low to mid 40s. So if you've got to make a run to the grocery store, you got to get things ready at your house. You got to get things ready for, just kind of making sure your fireplace is going to work right. If you have one of those portable generators, make sure that you can fire it up and it's going to run. Make sure your car is full of gasoline. That's key. You need to have your car filled, the tank filled with gasoline. If you're a propane user, well, you want to be like Hank Hill, propane and propane products, Bobby. Dag name it, Bobby. Dag name it. Dag name it, Bobby. Get your propane and make sure you get it filled tomorrow or at the latest on Friday, because that's all the time you're going to have. Here we are into 6 p.m. tomorrow night. High pressure still sitting over us, but look at the massive cold. And this is just the beginning. But look at the tight lines here. Those are what we call isobars. Those are equal lines of pressure. So when you see them tightly packed like that, that means it's windy. And this is going to be a cold wind. And here comes it just reset on me. Hang on. Here comes our monster high pressure ridge. Look at that. 1,050 millibars, very strong. And it's going to get stronger, much stronger as it heads south. So this is the very deep cold air that we need to produce snow. And then you'll soon see, here comes the moisture. As these lows head east, the moisture will start coming back. So Thursday, we're fine. Here is Friday morning, and now we're starting to see this come together. Look at the cold air spilling in. It's going to get colder as we head into Friday. We will start, I think on Friday, we're going to start like mid to upper 30s at the warmest. But then the colder air is going to start spilling in and temperatures are going to tumble. Even before any precipitation starts, the temperatures are going to tumble on Friday. So if you've got something to do Friday before all this hits, say Friday night, take Friday morning up to about midday and just know that colder winds are going to start blowing in early on Friday. And then the temperatures are going to fall into the teens Friday night as this moisture catches up to the cold air. So let's go Friday night, and oh boy, here we go. Now, this is where I keep calling it the fun, but I mean that in jest. This is where the fun really begins. And look at the deep, deep cold air sinking. I mean, this trough is huge. The jet stream is active. Upper winds out of this system from that high pressure are going to be blowing anywhere from 150, 170, even up to 200 miles per hour. Not at the ground. Okay, don't worry, we're not talking about down to the ground. But the jet stream winds way up 20, 30,000 feet, they're going to be blowing that strong. And that's going to help transport all of that deep, deep cold air our direction. And then it's going to meet up with all of this moisture. So ice storm conditions will get going from Texas into Oklahoma and Arkansas, and will start to spread into northern Mississippi and around the Memphis, Tennessee area. This is Friday evening, and now we start with this is Bowling Green, southern Kentucky. We will start with a period of light snow, but the winds will be blowing pretty good. So you're going to think, oh, here it comes, you know, snowflakes everywhere. Some places may start with even a little bit of a mix. Okay, let's progress on. Here is 6 a.m. Saturday. Now, here is where the models have done a little jive. You know, they're done a little junk and jive and the back and forth and the wobbling and all this. You know, it happens. Nothing stays permanent. Everything stays fluid. So we know that things are going to change. That's why I haven't told you how much snow we're going to get. I said there could be up to a foot in some places. I never said that's going to be it. Just remember, a little more, a little less. Some places are going to get a little bit more mixed precipitation. Others are going to get a little more snow. So we're going to be, oh, well, you're waiting for me to do this, right? Uh-huh, uh-huh, on the fence, always. So this is going to be a mix of freezing rain, and mostly this looks like sleet. This darker pink here is going to be freezing rain, southern Tennessee. And some of that will try to push its way into southern Kentucky, but most of us will still stay snow on Saturday morning. Now, it's going to do this all day Saturday and into Saturday night, into Sunday morning. Most of this is going to change over to all snow, even parts of Tennessee, because we will have a lot of cooling that's going to take place. Yes, there's that little bit of warm air that tries to overrun the very deep cold air. And at some point, somebody's going to say, it's quit snowing now. It's changed over to sleet, or it's changed over to freezing rain. Let me just ease your mind. Here in southern Kentucky, we're not going to get enough freezing rain to cause an ice storm. It's just, we do not see that. Okay, what we're seeing with the temperature profiles as you go from the ground up and up to the ground or down to the ground, the temperature profiles look like they're going to stay cold enough to where we will see that just little brief periods of some of that in, but then it goes back to snow. And still, some of the snow, as I mentioned before, could be heavy. And I'm talking about a throwdown of heavy snow as we get into Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and into early Sunday morning. But this will be when the system starts to move away. As we get into Monday morning, it's all gone. Now, what you don't see is that in between that 24-hour period, if I were to show you that, I can't show you on this map, but if I were to show you that on this map, you would have seen how it goes from that little bit of pink, that little bit of mixy stuff, into a deep snow, enhanced snow, and then it goes into a lighter snow, and then what you're seeing here as it starts to move away. So by Monday morning, it's out of here. Tuesday, we're sunny. Everything starts to really get back to normal, but the problem is, it is so cold. After this thing hits, whatever falls is going to stay, and it's going to stick. It's going to stick and stay. It's going to be probably not until a week from today, next Wednesday, before we even get above freezing. So that means if you get half a foot of snow, or close to a foot of snow, or 8 inches, or 7 inches, or 4 inches, it's going to stick. It's going to stay. And unfortunately for those folks south of us that's going to get nothing but ice and freezing rain, it's going to stay. It's going to be paralyzing for those folks. All right, let's go to the latest European. This is the system that come through today, and it pretty much verified. There was that mixy stuff to the north, a little snow, and then it was the rest of it was rain. Now it's moving out. Let's watch how the cold air starts to really dig in. I mean, really dig in. Now, watch how far south all of this. And look at this high. The high pressure, 1047 to 1050 millibar. And look at all this wind, tight, tight gradient. Everywhere is going to have gusty winds with this system because it's such a difference between the high pressure and the low pressure. The pressure differences is what causes the wind to do what it does. But now the winds and that low pressure system coming off the Baja of California is now going to tap into this moisture. And you see the very beginning of the ice storm, and then the rest of it is all rain down south. So this thing is going to follow the jet, which is very active and very punchy. And boy, oh boy, here we go. This is showing us, this would be Friday night at about 7 p.m. So this is when it starts to get running. Let's go ahead and move ahead. Here is, woo, look at that. Saturday morning. Now we're running Saturday midday. So the European continues to show a delayed start for us in southern Kentucky with this whole system. It has been showing this almost consistently every day, but it still shows it headed our direction. Look at this massive ice storm. This is going to be really crippling, paralyzing, as I said, for those folks. There's going to be thousands without power, and it's probably going to be for a couple of weeks or more. We do not want to be in this area, but we're going to pray for those folks because they're going to need it. So here the snow is beginning, and this is going to happen, looks like, according to the European model, which has been very, very accurate of late. It looks like it's going to start sometime very early Saturday morning. And then it starts to spread east. The winds are blowing, breezy, cold. Now here comes that little, you're going to see it here. See that? Look at that little, right there. Look at that. It's trying to nose its way in to southern Kentucky, just that little bit of a mix. Now, I think when it does this, it's going to be a mix with the snow. It may not be a complete changeover to ice or freezing rain or sleet. I think it's mostly going to be sleet. Freezing rain is going to stay further south where it's just a little bit warmer. Okay? So don't get so caught up into, oh, it's changing over to sleet. Now what do we do? Well, don't worry. I'll show you. This is going to be temporary. It's just right there on the border. And this is right there. That's, we're looking at Saturday evening into early Sunday morning, that brief changeover. And now I know this looks like, wow, this is going to be, see this? That's the push of warm air right there. See how far north the rain goes? But again, this is not moisture necessarily that's going to be, oh, it's all going to freeze on the ground. Yeah, it's going to be cold enough, and it probably will in some aspects, but it's going to get warm enough above us to even change it for some in Middle Tennessee, maybe up to Nashville. to rain for a short period. But then it's on the backside of this as it wraps around. The low pressure system looks like it's going to go right here, tracking right through southeastern Kentucky and then go northeast. Now, on that track, this is why we're seeing that little twist of the warmer air wrapping around that system. That's what's going to cause this to happen if this is true and if this plays out this way. Now, given time, as you can see, the snow comes wrapping back around behind it. So this right here, if it does change over or mix, it would be for, I think it went for maybe 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6, and then it all changes back to snow as the system leaves us on Sunday. So here we go. Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and now with all that snow and unfortunately south of us, ice on the ground, the deep, whoops, I don't know why it just went and updated again on me. Let me go back to that point. You see it right there. That brief period, and then cold enough to where everything that's on the ground is going to stay because of this deep area of cold air. And we're talking about the new stuff that I'm looking at right here shows even colder than what you saw me show you if you watched me on News 40 this morning. Like on Monday night, we're now showing a low of -3. Not the wind chill, but the temperature, -3, with a high of 19 on Monday. Then on Tuesday, a high of maybe 25 and a low of 12. Back up to Sunday as the system moves out, 23 for a high, but then as the system moves away, 3 for an overnight low. So we're talking near zero temperatures when this thing moves in and then moves out. And here's a look at those numbers. Blend the models, around 42, 43 tomorrow. Then tomorrow's going to be fine, 24 tomorrow night. Then we get up to 33 Friday. We're okay Friday. For the first half of the day, we're going to be fine. In some cases, most of you will get by all day Friday without anything happening. The winds are going to get colder because you see there, we go from 33 down to 14 Friday night. Then Saturday, here it comes. 23 to 17, 25 Sunday to 3, Monday 19 to 2, but as I saw here, -3, and that's taking in the snowpack. What the Blenda model is not showing you is considering the snowpack. Snow on the ground makes it even colder. So that 2 could end up as -3 because the snowpack's going to make it feel colder. Then we don't get above freezing, like I said, maybe until next Wednesday. You see 35 right there. But then we go back into the upper 20s to low 30s and lows in the teens pretty much every night after that as we go through the end of next week and the end of the month. Next weekend is the end of the month. And then we start February right there, February 1st. February already? Good Lord Almighty. Golly, that was fast. Yeah. Okay, so all I can say is this is happening. It's not going to miss us. We're still going to have some big things to deal with. We're going to have power outages to deal with, and that's not even with ice. just with the snow. There's going to be power outages. There's going to be hazardous travel. There's going to be school closings. There's going to be business closings. There's going to be all kinds of issues. But we've done this before, and I think we'll be fine. It's just you've got to realize that no matter where you are, this is a high impact event. And we have very high confidence that it's coming, or else the Weather Service wouldn't have issued the Winter Storm Watch. The Winter Storm Watch tells us they are on it and they see it coming, and it's coming. There's no missing us. There's none of that. It's going to hit. All right. Now, let me say on top of that, let me show you this. All right. This is the latest information from the National Weather Service that they issued this afternoon. And this backs up what I just said. Winter Storm Watch Saturday, all day Saturday, Saturday night, Sunday, Sunday night, and then finally ending Monday. Look, the entire state of Kentucky, the entire state of Tennessee. Widespread snowfall expected with high probabilities. I'm going to show you that too. A 50 to 70% chance of greater than 8 inches. Whoa, wait a minute. What? Huh? You haven't heard that, have you? No, you've heard 12 to 24, 12 to 18, 3 to 6. You haven't heard this, have you? Okay, that's because the Weather Service, when they issued the Winter Storm Watch today, they said, this is what we think. There is, now listen to me, there's a 50 to 70% chance that we could have snowfall of greater than 8 inches. So when I said to you last night, hey, it could be a foot, maybe, maybe not, maybe more, maybe less. 8 inches? That's not too far off. See, I told you we're still going to get heavy snow. Now, it could be a little more, a little less, like I said, but when they say this, they're pretty doggone sure. The chances for significant sleet and ice accumulations has increased across southern Kentucky, and we just discussed that. Still lots of uncertainty on the track, the storm track, but we'll get a really definite, more definite, detailed look at the track tomorrow, because we will be in that, finally, that short-term window. Impacts are going to be realized. High confidence that this is going to be a big deal. Now, here's a look at the probability of major impacts this weekend. High confidence in a winter storm impacting the region. Main impact looks to be accumulating snowfall. But a wintry mix of ice is still possible, and we talked about that, but still, look, here's Bowling Green, right there. Still in the red, still in the, basically the 60 to 70% chance, 50 to 60% chance, and as they just mentioned, this is where the highest impact, right in the center of Kentucky, is going to occur. The final storm track will determine who gets what and how much. We may know that tomorrow. We'll see. Snowfall forecast probability of exceeding 8 inches of snow for Bowling Green and central Kentucky is 60 to 70%. Now, I know what you've seen on the Weather Channel, okay? The Weather Channel is the Weather Channel. They're just another source. They look at maps just like we do and everybody else does. But my money is on always the National Weather Service. I have other meteorologists, weather people here in the state of Kentucky that I know who are like, not the weather service. Come on, it's the weather service. They don't know anything. I trust them more than I do anyone else. And that, I mean, period. I follow their lead because they know they've done this more than a few hundred times. And through the past 40 years or so that I've been doing weather, there's only been a few times that they're wrong about this sort of thing. This is where my money goes, right here. When they're saying a probability of 60 to 70% of us exceeding 8 inches of snow, even with a little mix coming in, I'm going to pay attention to that. Confidence in those snowfall amounts, now it's in the medium range, but that's good enough for me. That's what I'm going to prepare for. That's what you should do too. Snowfall probability of exceeding a foot of snow, look at this. Not so high in Bowling Green, maybe 40%, but 50% from places like Columbia, Campbellsville, up to Lexington, Richmond. Wow. 50% chance that right there in the central part of Kentucky, there is a possibility, slim, 50-50, that somebody could get a foot of snow. Now, this is what follows. Dangerously cold air for whatever hits the ground. And as I showed you, we're talking about teens, single digits, and there's Tuesday where we're looking at -3, -2, -4, -3, so forth and so on. Wind chills on Tuesday will be -10, 0, -8, -11, -13. Oh my goodness. That's with that pack of snow on the ground. So here we are. We're a few days out. Get everything in order. The day before, this would be Friday. Basically, for most of us, it's going to be Friday. Adjust your plans as necessary once we get a pretty good fix on the exact track of the storm. And make sure you've got your pets taken care of, the elderly, your neighbors all taken care of. Everybody's all buttoned up and ready to go. And then during and after the storm, just check on everybody. Make sure you've got proper ventilation for your heat sources, generators. Keep them at least 20 feet away from your home. And I'm not talking about the battery-operated ones. I'm talking about the kind you have to pull start and pour gas into and all that. All right? So that's just some good pieces of advice to keep in mind. All right, so I'm going to go to your comments right after I talk about a different kind of generator. You knew I was going to do that, right? R&R controls and Generac generators. Boy. Now, I talked to Mr. Conley with R&R controls. Well, I saw his post this morning, and then he and I have texted a little bit over the last couple of days. They're ready for it. But they want you to be ready. If you're already a Generac generator customer, just know at this point, there's not much they can do right now to make sure that you're ready to run. So hopefully you've already taken care of that if you already have a generator. If you don't have one, unfortunately at this point, you're going to have to wait until we get past this big storm. But then they want you to contact them after the storm and just talk to them about a generator. I think a lot of people are probably get one, especially down south of us, after this storm passes. And R&R Controls, they're ready to talk to you about how to get one set up to your home. It's easy, just to get it wired in, and then once it's wired in, it's there. You set it, pretty much forget it. until it needs maintenance, until you need it again. And then hopefully it's going to be right there and just automatically fire up within seconds of your power going off. That's what makes Generac the number one name in generators. And R&R Controls knows how to take care of this for you so that you never have to be without power ever again. Not just for your home, but also your business. So call them, I would say after the storm, because they're going to be busy the next couple of days. 270-777-2024. Or you can go to rnrhvac.com. 270-777-2024. R&R Controls. With them, you'll never be without. All right. Let's move on to some of your comments. And boy, there's a bunch of them. Let's see here. Let me go to, if you want to hang around, and just go through some of these. And thank you for everybody that's jumping online and taking note of all this. Jeff and Mary Rigsby, watching from my warm living room. Well, let's hope it stays warm. That's the key. That's the key. Here's Cheryl. Will it be a wet, heavy snow? Well, actually, from everything that we're seeing with the setup for this snow, and I talked last night about snow ratios. The ratios from snow to melted down water equivalent usually are 10 to 1. You know, in other words, for an inch of snow, you get, a tenth of an inch of water, okay? But then in this kind of situation with the deep cold, we're going to have maybe 15 to 1, 18 to 1, possibly even up to 20 to 1 odds or 20 to 1 ratio, snow ratio. If we get that, then that's going to be double what we would normally see. So we could be looking at, and that's why we're looking at the possibility of some of these heavy snow bursts that are going to come in with the system, where we could see, like the Weather Service said, 8 inches or more, or even around a foot in central Kentucky. Yeah. And when that happens, and with these kind of snow totals and ratios and the way the cold air, the compressed cold air is going to be, this may turn out to be more of a powdery type snow, the kind you just blow off. I don't think it's going to be very much of a wet snow. Even though there's a lot of moisture, it looks like it's going to be one of those powdery snows. You can still build a snowman and stuff like that and go sledding on it, but at least that's the way it looks right now. But we'll see, okay? Jed, 10 inches and having a snowball fight in Brownsville. We'll go till we run out of snow. That sounds like fun, Jed, but I'll probably be busy and won't get to do that. Right? Is it Nevaeh? Looks like Nevaeh. Let's hope the electricity stays on. A lot of people have electric heat and not gas or wood, and you're right. And that's why I feel for the folks already down south of us, because it's just going to be awful. Awful. Let's see. Yvonne McQuitty. Great Hank Hill, Chris. Would you consider moving your live camera image over to the West Coast when you're showing us the weather map so we can see Eastern Tennessee and the East Coast? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I got to put it somewhere, but maybe I'll pay more attention to that and try to adjust that next time I show this and take care of you. But thank you for for telling me I've got a great Hank Hill impersonation. Also have a pretty good Dale Gribble. Hank, I think it's a conspiracy, Hank. You're welcome. I've watched too much. I've watched too much of those kind of shows. Let's see here. Let's go to Kathy, who says, "Thanks for the warning, sir. Prayers for all in the path of the storm." Yes, we should all be thinking about that. Brian, is this Brian? Yeah, Brian, who says, "Thanks for letting me know about the milk. Educate me about bread now." Oh, Lord. I know there have been all these kind of jokes going around about, oh, everybody's buying the bread and the milk and the eggs. They're going to make French toast. I know that's always the thing. Sean, at least it's cold enough if the power goes out, the food isn't going to go bad. Well, it's according to how long it's off, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Uh, I'm just kind of perusing through. Some of these are just thank yous, and I appreciate that very much. Some of you are just telling me where you're coming from or where you're commenting from. Here's Edie. 50 to 70% chance of 8 inches of snow or greater. Ice chances have increased. Weather changes starting very late Friday night into Saturday morning. You got it. Edie, you're on it. You're hired. I'll put you on my weather team. I could always use the help. We need people that can understand the message and convey it to other people because all you got to do is doom scroll social media and you'll hear 20, 30 different stories about how much we're going to get, you know. But it's that way every time. It's always been that way. But with social media now, it's just it's just elevated. It's elevated because there are so many comments and so many people that want to jump in and chime in and just say, grandstand and, you know, I know how much it's going to be. Those jokers on TV don't know what they're talking about and blah, blah, blah. You know, I hear it all the time, but it's okay. I'm used to it. Here's Shelly. Wish I owned a generator store right now. Oh, yeah. She's not saying just a generator. She wants to own a generator store. Yeah, you'd be making some coin right now. I have heard places down south where the ice storm is going to be the worst. They have already sold out of generators. Goodness gracious. I mean, whether it be a hurricane, whether it be a snowstorm, any of those things like that, when you get this big of a storm and this powerful of a what could be a very impactful and possibly even historic system coming in, then yeah, these things are going to happen. I'm just hoping that we all just do the best that we can to get through this. So from here we go at 7:34. All right, I've gone a little bit over an hour. I keep saying every time I'm not going to go an hour, and I end up doing it. There's just so much to talk about. From here, we're good tonight, all day tomorrow, tomorrow night, and most of Friday. Unless you live west of here, then maybe Friday evening, Friday night, some of the very beginning of the system will start to push into Kentucky. So you've got all this time, tomorrow and most of Friday, to get everything done. Go to the store, shore up everything you need to at home, make sure you're ready, your heat's ready, your pets are ready, everything's ready. Your car, all that. And just be ready to settle in at your place for 2 or 3 days because that's probably what you're going to end up doing. Schools, I would say, are not going to be open at the beginning, at least next week, and maybe not until after Wednesday next week. That's a week from today. Think about that. So, all right. I've said enough. You guys have time to prepare. Hopefully, you're going to heed all the warnings and the watches and just get everything done in case. Now, News 40, that's where I work. Mornings on television, and we're on the app too. We have a News 40 weather app that you can take with us anywhere you go. I don't care where you live, it will cover you with bulletins, updates, radar, school closings, our personal updates throughout the day. It's all on the app. News 40, 6 a.m. tomorrow on sunrise, 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then noontime. Those are the three shows that I'm on News 40. So tune in, and who knows, by that time, we may have even a little bit different information than what I'm telling you right now. And of course, we're on all social media, and so you can go there too. Just look up WNKY News 40, and you'll get that information. And you can even watch me live on Facebook, just like you're watching me now on Facebook. In the meantime, have a great Wednesday evening. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.